It started with the idyllic sounds of a Michigan autumn afternoon. Then a scream, a sound so raw and filled with terror, shattered the peace. 13-year-old Owen Burns would never forget that scream. It was the sound of his little sister's life hanging in the balance. The Michigan air held the crisp, unmistakable scent of autumn. Golden leaves, shed from the towering maples that lined the quiet suburban street, danced in the gentle breeze. It was a picture-perfect scene, the kind you'd see on a postcard promoting the idyllic charm of small-town America. Sunlight streamed through the windows of a modest two-story house, casting long shadows across the neatly trimmed lawn. The only sounds were the chirping of birds and the distant hum of a lawnmower, a typical Wednesday afternoon in the Burns household. Inside, 13-year-old Owen Burns was completely immersed in his digital world. He sat hunched over his gaming PC, his fingers flying across the keyboard with practiced ease. The room was a testament to his passion. Posters of Call of Duty adorned the walls, a high-end gaming rig hummed quietly, and a pair of noise-canceling headphones transported him to the virtual battlefields. His brow was furrowed in concentration, his eyes glued to the screen as he navigated a treacherous landscape, his online squad mates relying on his sharp reflexes and strategic thinking. The glow of the monitor illuminated his determined face, highlighting the faint smattering of freckles across his nose. Meanwhile, outside in the backyard, 7-year-old Ariana Burns was lost in a world of her own making. Her bright pink dress swirled around her as she pushed herself higher and higher on the old wooden swing set, her laughter echoing through the crisp air. She was building a magnificent sandcastle in the sandbox, carefully sculpting towers and moats, her tongue poking out from the corner of her mouth in concentration. A collection of brightly colored plastic toys lay scattered around her, evidence of her boundless imagination and energy. She hummed a tuneless melody, a soundtrack to her carefree play. Owen, despite his intense focus on the game, found himself glancing out the window every few minutes. A small, protective smile would tug at his lips as he watched his little sister play. He loved her boundless energy, her infectious laughter. A flash of memory flickered through his mind. A year ago, a large, aggressive dog had cornered Ariana in the park. Owen, despite being smaller and younger, had bravely stood between them, yelling and waving his arms until the dog backed down. That feeling of fierce protectiveness, that unwavering instinct to keep his little sister safe, surged through him even now. At first, the sounds from the backyard were normal, comforting even. Ariana's giggles mingled with the voices of other children, presumably some neighborhood friends who had joined her in her play. Owen recognized the familiar sing-song chants of a jump rope game. He briefly considered joining them, but the allure of the virtual battle was too strong. He returned his attention to the screen, his fingers resuming their frantic dance. Then, the sounds changed. Abruptly, the cheerful laughter ceased. The rhythmic slap of the jump rope against the pavement went silent. In their place, a new sound emerged, a rustling in the bushes that bordered the edge of the woods, a sound that didn't belong. It was a furtive, unsettling sound, like something heavy being dragged through the undergrowth. A prickle of unease ran down Owen's spine. The rustling grew louder, closer. Owen's grip tightened on his mouse. He tried to dismiss it, to tell himself it was just an animal, a squirrel perhaps, or a raccoon. But the nagging feeling of unease persisted. He minimized his game, the sudden silence in his headphones amplifying the sounds from outside. And then it came, a scream, a piercing, blood-curdling scream that ripped through the afternoon calm. It was Ariana's voice, but unlike any sound he had ever heard her make before. It was a scream laced with pure, unadulterated terror. Owen's heart leaped into his throat. He bolted upright, knocking his chair backward with a crash. All thoughts of the game vanished, replaced by a single, overwhelming imperative. Ariana. He scrambled to the window, his hands trembling as he pressed his face against the glass. His breath fogged the pane, momentarily obscuring his view. He wiped it away frantically, his eyes widening in horror at the scene unfolding before him. In the backyard, near the edge of the woods, a figure was struggling with Ariana. A man, tall and imposing, had her in a brutal grip. One hand was clamped over her mouth, stifling her screams. The other arm was wrapped around her waist, trying to drag her backward, toward the dark, looming trees. Ariana's small body thrashed wildly, her legs kicking out in a desperate attempt to break free. Her eyes, wide with terror, met Owen's through the window. It was a fleeting moment, a silent plea for help, but it seared itself into Owen's memory. The man's face was partially obscured by the shadows, but Owen could see the glint of something metallic in his hand. A knife, perhaps, or a piece of metal. The details were blurry, distorted by Owen's fear and adrenaline, but the image was unmistakable. His little sister was in grave danger. A torrent of thoughts and emotions flooded Owen's mind. Fear, panic, rage, a desperate urge to protect his sister. He felt a moment of paralyzing terror, his body frozen, his mind racing. What should I do? Call 911? Run outside? But it would take too long. He'll be gone by then. His mind, honed by countless hours of strategic gaming, started to process the situation with surprising clarity. He needed a weapon, something to stop the man, something to give Ariana a chance to escape. Time was slipping away. Every second counted. His eyes darted around the room, scanning for anything that could be used as a weapon. His baseball bat was in the closet, too far. His desk lamp, too flimsy. And then he saw it. On his shelf, amidst a collection of toys and trinkets, sat his slingshot. A simple wooden slingshot, a $3 souvenir from a summer camping trip. It was a childish toy, seemingly insignificant, but in that moment, it represented Owen's only hope. He snatched the slingshot from the shelf, his fingers fumbling with the familiar wooden frame. He rummaged through a drawer, finding a small bag of marbles, his ammunition. His hands were shaking, but he managed to load a marble into the leather pouch. He took a deep breath, trying to steady his aim. He positioned himself at the window, his eyes fixed on the struggling figures in the backyard. The man was still trying to drag Ariana toward the woods. Owen pulled back the elastic bands of the slingshot, the wood creaking under the tension. He squinted, focusing all his attention, all his energy, on his target. It was a long shot, a difficult shot, but he had to try. He had to save his sister. Owen exhaled slowly, a technique he'd learned from countless hours of first-person shooter games. He focused on his breathing, trying to calm the frantic beating of his heart. He visualized the trajectory of the marble, the arc it would take through the air. He adjusted his aim slightly, compensating for the distance and the slight breeze. He had one shot, maybe two, to make a difference. He couldn't afford to miss. He released the elastic bands. The slingshot snapped forward, sending the marble hurtling through the air. Owen watched, his breath held captive in his chest, as the small projectile traced a perfect arc toward his target. It happened in a split second, but to Owen, it felt like an eternity. The marble struck the man squarely in the forehead, with a sickening thud. The man cried out, a guttural sound of pain and surprise. His grip on Ariana loosened, his hands flying to his injured head. Ariana, seizing the opportunity, wrenched herself free from the man's grasp. She stumbled backward, her eyes wide with fear and confusion. She looked toward the house, toward the window where she had seen her brother. She saw him, still holding the slingshot, his face a mask of determination. She didn't hesitate. She turned and ran, her small legs pumping as fast as they could, toward the safety of the house. Owen, seeing Ariana break free, didn't waste a moment. He quickly loaded another marble into the slingshot, his hands moving with practiced efficiency. He took aim again, his anger fueling his resolve. He wouldn't let this man get away. He pulled back the elastic bands, his muscles straining with the effort. He released. The second marble flew through the air, striking the man again, this time in the shoulder. The man roared in pain, clutching his injured arm. The man, realizing he was no longer in control of the situation, turned and fled. He stumbled into the woods, disappearing into the dense undergrowth. Owen watched him go, his chest heaving, his body trembling with adrenaline. He lowered the slingshot, his grip finally relaxing. He had done it. He had saved his sister. The front door burst open, and Ariana ran into the house, sobbing uncontrollably. She threw herself into Owen's arms, clinging to him tightly. Owen hugged her back, his own tears starting to flow. He buried his face in her hair, whispering soothing words, trying to reassure her that she was safe. "It's okay, Ari," he murmured, his voice choked with emotion. "It's okay. You're safe now. I got him. He's gone." Ariana's small body shook with sobs, her cries muffled by Owen's embrace. The fear, the terror, the helplessness she had felt just moments ago were slowly starting to recede, replaced by the overwhelming relief of being safe in her brother's arms. Owen, still holding Ariana tightly, reached for his phone with his free hand. His fingers trembled as he dialed 911. He reported the incident, his voice shaking as he described what had happened. He gave the operator a description of the man, his location, and the direction he had fled. He answered the operator's questions calmly, his focus now on getting help for Ariana and ensuring the man was caught. Within minutes, sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder as they approached the Burns house. Police cars screeched to a halt in front of the house, their flashing lights illuminating the quiet street. Officers, their faces grim, rushed into the house, their hands resting on their holstered weapons. Owen and Ariana, still huddled together, watched as the officers secured the scene, their presence a reassuring sign that order was being restored. One of the officers, a kind-faced woman with a gentle demeanor, knelt down in front of Owen and Ariana. She spoke to them softly, asking them questions about what had happened. Owen, his voice still shaky but gaining strength, recounted the events, describing the man and his actions. Ariana, still clinging to Owen, nodded in agreement, her eyes wide with fear and awe. The officer listened patiently, taking notes and offering words of comfort. Meanwhile, other officers were searching the backyard, collecting evidence and fanning out into the woods, searching for the suspect. The search didn't take long. A short time later, another officer radioed in, reporting that they had apprehended a suspect matching Owen's description at a nearby gas station. He was trying to clean a wound on his forehead, the officer reported. He was being taken into custody. Owen felt a surge of relief, mixed with a sense of justice. The man who had tried to hurt his sister would be held accountable for his actions. Later, at the police station, a detective showed Owen a photo lineup. He identified the man without hesitation. The detective confirmed he had a prior record of assault. The sound of car doors slamming jolted Owen and Ariana. Their parents had arrived. They rushed into the house, their faces etched with worry and fear. They had been contacted by the police, told only that there had been an incident at their home, that their children were safe, but that details were limited. When they saw Owen and Ariana, they rushed to them, enveloping them in a tight embrace. Their mother cried, her tears of relief mingling with Ariana's. Their father, his face pale, held them both tightly, his hand stroking Owen's hair. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice trembling. "Are you hurt?" Owen and Ariana, nestled in the safety of their parents' arms, shook their heads. They were safe. They were together. That was all that mattered. A few days later, the Burns family celebrated Ariana's 7th birthday. It was a subdued celebration, but filled with a profound sense of gratitude and love. There was cake, ice cream, and presents, but the greatest gift of all was Ariana's safety, a gift that Owen had given her. The family gathered around the table, singing happy birthday to Ariana. As Ariana blew out the candles, Owen looked at her, his heart filled with a mixture of love, pride, and relief. He had faced his fears, he had acted bravely, and he had saved his sister's life. He was a hero, not in a video game, but in real life. News of Owen's bravery spread quickly through the small town. Neighbors stopped by to offer their support and praise. Classmates at school looked at him with a newfound respect. He was hailed as a local hero, his story a testament to the power of courage and quick thinking. Owen, however, remained humble. He didn't see himself as a hero. He had simply done what any brother would do, protect his sister. The incident left a lasting impact on Owen and Ariana. Ariana, understandably, was initially fearful of going outside, especially near the woods. She had nightmares, reliving the terror of that day. But Owen was always there for her, comforting her, reassuring her that she was safe. He would sit with her at night, reading her stories, staying with her until she fell asleep. He would play with her in the backyard, always keeping a watchful eye on her, ensuring that she felt secure. As time went on, the fear began to fade, replaced by a sense of resilience and a deeper appreciation for the bonds of family. The slingshot, once a simple toy, became a symbol of Owen's bravery, a reminder of the day he had saved his sister's life. It sat on his shelf, not as a weapon, but as a testament to the power of love, courage, and quick thinking in the face of danger. Owen continued to play Call of Duty, but with a new understanding and respect for the game. The game became an escape, not an alternate reality. The line had been blurred that one day. Owen and Ariana, closer than ever, continued their lives, forever bound by the shared experience of that terrifying afternoon, an experience that had forged an unbreakable bond between them.